Hello, my lovely, lovely YouTube watchers. How are you all doing out there? I hope you're okay. What's the date today? Where are we? Beginning of October, 5th, Saturday. A few things have happened in these little cases that I follow. One of them being Bernadette Spofforth. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing that. Something's happened in that case. As far as I can understand, she's just been let off. That's it, no further action. Nothing's going to happen. So we had all the drama and hoo-ha for nothing. I'm going to listen to this in a minute and see if there was an apology or what happened. Scared us all to death, half to death, right? And then the other thing, the Jay Slater case that I like to look at, still going on, you know. People are still asking questions, but I can't find the longer interview. So I will have another little look, see if I can dig around to find it on YouTube. But I can't seem to find the longer version of his friend Brad's interview. And then, of course, there's the P. Diddy. So obviously trigger warnings. This is horrendous having to watch all of this stuff, and it's just so shocking, all the information that's coming out about this P. Diddy business. And it's made it onto the Piers Morgan show with a lady called Jaguar, and she's just speaking and saying things. And what we've learned, we can't just repeat what people are saying without the evidence, can we? Right? And there's lots of people coming out and talking about all these things now and all saying the same things. So let's have a little listen to Bernadette Spofforth, shall we?
On the 5th of September, the police issued what's called an NFA.
5th September, okay, so it is a month ago. I'm sorry about this music that's put in the background to this. The police issued an NFA, no further action.
And that means no further action and no charges, because I hadn't done anything illegal. According to many journalists and social media activists, was a post on X that they incorrectly claimed I had made up, and which they decided was the cause of the riots in Southport and all across the country. But I am just an ordinary person, and I think you should know how ordinary people have been treated. My name is Bernadette Spofforth. Most of you just know me as Bernie. Firstly, thank you for all of your messages, and I'm so sorry I haven't responded or replied to any of you, but I couldn't. I would have been locked up in a cell again for breaching bail conditions if I had. But I want to let you know, though, that on the 5th of September, the police issued what's called an NFA, and that means no further action and no charges, because I hadn't done anything illegal. My supposed crime, according to many journalists and social media activists, was a post on X that they incorrectly claimed I had made up, and which they
incorrectly claimed that she had made up. So was that the crime then, to make things up? It's not a crime if you're just copying it from someone else? What?
decided was the cause of the riots in Southport and all across the country. In reality, though, I had just copied and pasted a name and a sentence from another post on X, and unusually for me, I didn't check the source, but I added the line, "If this is true, there will be hell to pay." And what followed from that deleted post was a concerted effort on social media to try and have me arrested and sent to prison by those who don't agree with me. Now, what I've experienced over the last few weeks that I'd like to tell you about is nothing in comparison to the suffering of those families in Southport, and I am not comparing the two. But I am just an ordinary person, and I think you should know how ordinary people have been treated.
She's just an ordinary person. She thinks we should know how ordinary people have been treated. Yeah, and it definitely has acted as a watch out, people, what you write and what you say, because you too can be hearing a knock on your door and the police knocking to investigate you. And while they're doing that, you're blown up all over the internet. Everyone knows that you've done this thing and you've said this thing. And she has made a declarative statement of fact, there will be hell to pay. Which, it's not even sort of speculation, is it? It's like making a statement, there will be hell to pay. She's allowed to have her little profit mind on, isn't she? People do it all over the internet. They say, oh, I think this is going to happen. Or if that happens, this happens. It's speculation. You know, and have they interpreted it as like a threat? Like she's got some sort of power over this thing actually coming to pass? Like as if she's going to actually go out and make it happen? Do you know what I'm saying? if she'd sort of tempered that with, oh, I think that there could be problems, or I think there will be hell to pay. I don't know, it's just there will be hell to pay. It's just like a statement, isn't it?
So on the 8th of August, the police turned up, mob-handed, 5 of them, 3 police cars and a prison van. And instead of a simple voluntary interview, they searched me, arrested me, and held me for 36 hours in a concrete cell with a concrete bed, like a terrorist. They held me even though I told them that the evidence they needed had already been found by data experts. I explained my post was political, as almost all of my posts are, and my post was aimed at the government and its failing policies. I had not and would not make something up. But perhaps the authorities and the activists didn't actually care about the truth. They just wanted me punished as an example to you. Finally, I was released on bail. There really was nothing to take to magistrates and nothing to charge me with, but it didn't end there. Because my bail conditions included that I couldn't engage on social media, they didn't want me to speak to you about...
That is really, really harsh, isn't it? And they've got these powers that they can stop people from talking on social media, even though there's no evidence that she's done anything wrong. That's well, your freedom of speech can literally be taken away even while they're investigating. And you can see why they would do that, can't you? If a person was actually a terrorist, you wouldn't want them still being able to spout nonsense and harmful words, would you? But if a person's innocent, this is tough ground, isn't it?
Anything at all. Which meant I couldn't tell you of the damage done to me by those reporters and activists, and that it had been so complete I couldn't leave my house. That reporters were lying in wait for me in my garden.
She couldn't leave her house. She couldn't leave her house without having to run the gauntlet of reporters. Again, she could actually leave her house, but not without these things happening.
And that every day I had hate mail. I had nothing to gain from making something like that up, but others did gain. Journalists gained their clicks, my detractors gained my silence, and the authorities gained the silencing of you, because so many of you were afraid to speak. I had expressed my own views on the state of the country and its failure to protect innocent citizens, and that is still legal. But it's very clear that a vocal part of our society wants the opinions of ordinary people like you and like me suppressed. They say they support free speech, but they mean only the speech they agree with. They say they support dialogue, but only the dialogue that agrees with their worldview. And they say they want equality, but they don't mean for people who think differently to them. Now, I deleted that post because I found out it was incorrect. Keir Starmer said just a few years ago that if people make social media posts in error and then delete them, that should be the end of the matter.
How did she find out that the post was in error? I wonder. If they find out the posts are in error and then they delete them, that's the end of it. Because they do this fact checking now, don't they, on Twitter or X, and they let you know even if you've reposted something that's been from AI or come from somewhere dodgy, they let you know, and obviously you've got the option to delete it, and that should be the end of the matter. So if you say something, unless of course you've said something deliberately harmful to hurt someone else, and again this is the grey area, isn't it?
But it seems that's no longer the case. It seems like it's been decided it's better to stop questioning. It's easier to ban dissent, and that way you can stop the public spreading unapproved news amongst ourselves. And many people still believe that if they allow the government to micromanage their lives and be their single source of truth, then things will be okay. Until one day they don't agree with their government and they find it isn't okay because they can't speak of it. Without free speech, there is no democracy. And without democracy, there really is only tyranny. And to be treated as a criminal when you know you are innocent by the authorities, journalists and activists is terrifying and reputationally devastating. The process is the punishment, and it will silence millions. And when we are silent, that is the end of our free speech. So to those who celebrated my arrest, don't enjoy it too much, because it could easily happen to you. And the difference between us is that I would fight for you. And for all those who stood up for me and did fight for me.
And that is the thing, isn't it? Might not agree with what you're saying, but I would always defend your right to say it. You can fight tooth and nail and argue about things, but shutting someone up and getting them to stop speaking is the final nail in the coffin for democracy. As she's saying, it's not okay. It doesn't matter how extreme the views are. They've got to be allowed to be expressed, because that's how they're countered and softened and healed, and people's minds are changed, right? You don't change someone's mind by telling them you're not allowed to say that. It just doesn't work. It's like the word police. It's just nonsense.
Thank you. You held my line, even as I couldn't. Thank you.
Oh, that's lovely of her, wasn't it? What a lovely thing for her to say, to give out a little thank you to people that she doesn't even know. That's class right there, right? Say thank you to people that have been supporting them that they don't know on the internet, even though she's already been in trouble on the internet for saying things. You know, it's risky, isn't it? Because she knows that everything that she says and does on the internet is being scrutinised, shared, talked about, recorded over. Right? Speak to you soon, peeps. Bye for now.